All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find. Let me see, it's streaming or not. Oh yeah, it's streaming. Okay, so we're gonna find the inverse derivative. So find. Well, basically, the title is gonna be inverse derivative. Sorry, inverse derivative. But first, I'm gonna go through all the pre-calc knowledge, which is out of algebra 2 and pre-calc knowledge. So what is inverse functions? So usually I go over that. What is inverse functions? And you say, okay, well, question mark. So do you guys know how to find inverse function from Mr. Chaparro's class? Oh, good. So can you find one here? So let's just say if I have 3x minus 2, so can you find the inverse function of this? If you guys remember from Mr. Chaparro. Anybody remember? Yasiel? No? It should be done like Almio just give me that smirk. All right, so in order to find inverse, just replace that f of x with y, because that's the easiest way to change the x and y. So now you can swap the x and y, so be x equal to 3y minus 2, and then I will get 3y equal to x plus 2, and I'll divide by 3 on both sides. So y is equal to x over 3 plus 2 over 3. And then the best thing is you have to write down this f. Please don't read as -1 power, because if you do -1 power, that your brain trigger into the wrong thing. So we were talking about this with all the math teacher over the weekend, and they were like, this -1 is very confusing students. And I can understand why, but it doesn't read as -1. So from now on, you're gonna read as f inverse of x. F inverse of x. And if you read f -1 power, I will kick you. I mean, I'm not joking. I will drop kick you. That's not right. Well, I'm streaming. Shit. Oh well. Okay, so don't read as a f -1 power, because when people read as -1 power, they are thinking this, and this is not a true statement. This is not a true statement. So this is not true. So please don't read as -1. So you read it f inverse. Okay. There's a difference between inverse and reciprocal. We're gonna talk about that. But as of right now, this is it. And I'm gonna do a little bit more than that. I'm gonna graph this. So I'm gonna graph both lines. I'm gonna graph the original function, which is 3x minus 2. So it's gonna be like this. Because you have -2, its slope is 3 over 1. So that is the actual function. The actual function is gonna go like this. Got it? Okay, so how about the other function? Well, it's like 2/3. Very hard to graph 2/3, right? So 2/3 right here, but it's really hard. So I'm gonna just using some, in order for me to graph this, another way to graph inverse function, how do I do it? Use the current graph. How do I graph the inverse function? Yes. Well, sort of, but what do you mean flip over? Oh, y go to x. Good, good. But it's really hard to do that visually. How would you do that without without losing any brain cells? Like, just more like old-fashioned way. Yeah. Huh? Fold it. Well, you can fold the paper. You definitely can fold the paper, but turning the paper will not help. Yes. Switch an x and y. So you see this coordinate, right? You see this is 0, -2, right? And you see this is 1, 1, right? And you see this is what? 2, 4, maybe, if I can count. So I can basically swap the x and y. So it'd be this red line is going to be here. And it's going to be right here. 1, 1 is going to switch. And then 4, 2. It's going to switch like this. And boom. But what Emil says is not wrong, which is Emil's a little bit too advanced for me. He says you can say it's just mirror image of y equal to x, which is true. Mirror image y equal to x. Matter of fact, over the weekend, when Emil is in the math competition, there's a question about inverse functions. Okay, you're gonna go back and solve that one. Good question though, great question. Y equal to x. So those are the things I know. Due to here, I have found a few characteristics, but let's list down the characteristic. 1 is f of x and the f inverse of x reflect across y equal to x. Okay, that is the first thing. Second thing I want to write in purple because it's something going to be pretty helpful. The second one is pretty helpful here. It says you can have a coordinate swap. What do I mean by coordinate swap? 0, -2, -2, 0. So for example, 0, -2 change to -2, 0. So I coordinate x and y swap. Very, very important things for you to figure out today's information. The third things I will tell you is besides that, this class is not algebra 2. Algebra 2 talk about first two things. But what is the third thing? We're in calculus. What else are we talking about? What is the title of the sections? Inverse derivative. So imagine, what am I looking for? Derivative means what? Slope. Thank you. So what's the relationship? The relationship of the slope of f of x and the inverse of x. What do you think the relationship between two slopes is? They are what to each other? The truth is no. It's not the right word. But I have seen why people get confused with that words. Emil? No. What's the relationship of the slope between inverse and the what is that called? Start with the R. Reciprocal. So f of x has a slope that reciprocal to f inverse of x. It has a reciprocal slope. Now, do you guys remember perpendicular? What's perpendicular? Opposite reciprocal. Thank you. But this one's only reciprocal. Don't be confused, because opposite reciprocal is a perpendicular in term of algebra 1. In term of calculus, there's another word for reciprocal. Another word for perpendicular is what? Start with N. Normal, thank you, Slay. Normal slope are perpendicular slope. In physics, they have another name. Huh? Orthogonal, thank you. Why is orthogonal? Because dot product is equal to 0. Why dot product? Dot product has a cosine. And cosine of pi over 2 is going to be 0 because the pi over 2 is 90 degrees. So yes, orthogonal is going to be 90 degrees. So you got orthogonal, you got normal, you got perpendicular, but they are opposite reciprocal. They are not reciprocal. Reciprocal only to inverse. But they are not inverse because inverse is not the same as reciprocal. So don't get confused. That is reciprocal to the f of x. I'll show you example. This one has slope of 1/3. Right? And what is the blue line slope? 3/1, right? It just flipped. So they are reciprocal to each other. Now let's talk about requirement. I leave some space there for me to talk about requirement. So what is requirement to have inverse? To have inverse. What's the first requirement? What? Need to be a function? No, that's not good enough. It must pass some type of test. No. But you are close. Because the vertical line test is a test, whatever Cairo say. Vertical line test for your SAT, those of you guys taking SAT, if you do a vertical line test, it's a test whether it's a function or not. It's not a test whether you can have inverse. There was a different things, right? So you had to think about all those things. So instead of vertical line test, what is it? Horizontal line test. Okay, it must pass horizontal line test. Horizontal line test in order for function to have inverse. Now, it comes down to another words that you need to know for me is when you see this word means this. So, let's play Hangman. Anybody want to take a first guess? Yes. A. Off of A. A is. Do I draw like this? O is good. There was 2 O. Oh, actually.
Hologram. Oh, wait. No A. Oh.
That's 3 O. What is it? Next letter.
Oh. I.
What? Who says what? T? T, everybody agree T? Okay, T is fun.
Ultimate Empire.
What? What'd you say? What did you say? Ultimate Empire is not a word, sorry. Next letter. What? N? N is right.
We get a B.
B?
Is it monotonic or something like that?
Wait.
Oh no. It could be, but you gotta give me a letter about it. Huh? M is good. I is good. Monotonic. Good. Monotonic. Monotonic doesn't mean one drink. Monotonic means one directions. It's not a band, even though you want to talk about a band. So one direction. So the tonic is actually direction, right? So this one direction means strictly increasing or decreasing. Yes. So synonymous, so I'm trying to use a big word now. It's synonymous to horizontal line test, yes. Or decreasing. So it's same thing is talking about that. Monotonic. So this will be a good word, monotonic. Right? You might need it on spelling bee, I don't know. Okay, so monotonic is strictly increasing and decreasing. Can you think of an example that's function that inverse to each other? You can give me a couple examples. Like I want one in particular. It's a very famous example. Y equal to X. No.
Oh wait. Oh my god.
They are perpendicular though. But Y equal to X is a reflection line. So they are exactly inverse to each other, yes. But they are inverse is still Y equal to X. Or F inverse is still X. Can you give me an example where they inverse each other, but I told you there's two graphs that you have to know. And it's gonna affect your recent tests. No. Yes. Exponential and log, thank you. They are inverse to each other. So e to the x, it looks like this. So y equal to e to the x. Natural log of x, it looks like a blue one. And it has an asymptote here on this particular one. The red one has a particular one asymptote here. And you have to know this for both natural log of x. You have to know it for today. Now this is a really famous inverse to each other. So if you see the inverse line is going to be right here. And it's great. Now, why is I talk about monotonic? Well, can y equal to x squared have inverse? No? Is y equal to x squared, can they have a inverse function? All the people are correct. Why? Because it is no, because you fail horizontal line test. However, there is a way to get around it, is to cut the graph into half. If I cut the graph into the right half or left half, you can have inverse. For example, you cannot have function that is inverse if it's just a parabola. What you can do is set a restriction of the parabola going like x greater than 0, then you can have a this. And you can have this one is, this is a y equal to x squared. And you can have the inverse is actually y equal to square root x. Remember, y equal to square root x doesn't have this part. That's why if you have this part, it doesn't make sense. Because you cannot have that. That's why you need to pass horizontal line test. Even you can do the right sided graph, then it's gonna be like something like, I don't know, this, like this. But you know, you need to cut a graph to half in order to do that. So yeah, this is all the precursor of pre-calc and algebra 2 you need to know. So I just kind of give you an extensive lesson of pre-calc and algebra combination in very, very detailed fashion. But the problem is, what is the deal? Why did I write things in purple? It's not because I like the color purple. I do actually, but there's a reason why I write in purple though. Okay. So here's the thing. It's possible for me to finding the inverse derivative evaluation without finding the inverse function. What the hell I just say? I have no idea. So I'm gonna give you questions. So let's just say x to the third plus 2x minus 1. And we say, can you find f inverse of actually it should be like this, prime of 2. So what do you mean by f inverse prime of 2? That means, can you find the derivative evaluation when the inverse function x value is equal to 2? It turns out the 2 purple idea can help me guide there. Now, why did I say you don't need to find the inverse? Have you guys tried to find inverse function on this one? Try to find inverse function on this one. You'll see the problem of it. It's possible to find an inverse function. You should try it. Try it. See if can you find the inverse function of this. Now, when I don't know if you guys remember, some of you guys remember, Long was here. We find the inverse function of x squared plus 2x minus 1. Long is a little 4th grade kid, is a math genius coming after school to hang out with me. Huh? He would do a better job than.
You can or can't?
He can. I already asked. Trust me. I recruited him for a reason.
You were another team player, bro.
Yeah. Recruiting on a math team. Can you imagine? I'm the Nick Saban of the football of math team. You don't know who's Nick Saban? He's an Alabama coach. He recruit people from when they're like 8th grade, like football players, who's like 300 pound, like running full force, and but those people better than him now. Used to, he'll recruit kids like 7th grade or 6th grade. You have them sign a letter of intent, and then. So, I'm gonna use this as the thing that will disappear because this will disappear. So let's try to find the inverse functions, right? Let's just say, hey, let's find the inverse function. It will disappear because it's not that important. So let's say y equal to x cubed plus 2x minus 1, x equal to y to the 3 plus 2y minus 1. And you say y to the 3 plus 2y equal to -1 plus x. Actually, sorry. It's x minus 1. It's x plus 1. Good. And then can I factor out y? Well, I can, but it doesn't help do me any good. Plus 2 is equal to x plus 1. And if you isolate it, it's going to be what? X plus 1 over y squared plus 2. Really didn't isolate anything because there's y in there. So there's a small issue. So there's no possible for you to find the inverse of this. And then you say, okay, what do I do now? Now, let's go back to this intuitive approach. There was a coordinate swap. There was a relation of slope of f of x, and f inverse of x has a slope reciprocal to f inverse of x. Do you understand what I'm trying to say or no? Last night? You got this? It's your month. You gotta prove you are smarter than white people.
Gotta represent.
You gotta prove you're smarter than white people. What? You gotta prove them. Okay, so here, what we're gonna do is cancel me. The graph is lesbian. Okay, so so I meant to build a very simple chart and help you understand. So there's a f of x, f inverse of x, and I'm gonna build this chart. And this chart is gonna be based on here. I'm gonna have a x and y, right? Since this is the x value or y value, if I do a parenthesis, if I do function notation, is that x value or y value? Yeah, that's the x, right? So that's the x value. Did you say? So do we have the y value? Do we have the y value? No, question mark. But guess what? There's coordinate swap. That means this is a 2. And this is a question mark. Okay, okay. You got this. So then you say, okay, let's take a derivative of this. Let's take a derivative of, no, sorry. Let's figure out what happened if the y is 2. So that means 2 is right here. It's x cubed plus 2x minus 1. And then we say usually set equation equal to 0, but that doesn't do me any good because x cubed plus 2x minus 3. But the problem is x cubed, so it's not factorable. So it's not factorable, then you're like, okay, I don't know what to do now. But it turns out, if I move the 3 to the other side, if I use first principle, what is first principle? Think about what's the most bare things that you can think of. What is the x value here to satisfy these conditions?
1.
1. Good job. Guess and check. Guess and check actually work. It's one of the math process, believe it or not. Guess and check or common sense. So x has to equal to 1. Then we just find out the most important thing is 1 here. It's 1 here. Yes. So if I can find out the slope at 1/2, then I just reciprocal it and I can find the other side. So I didn't even need to find the inverse function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the derivative. F prime of x equal to 3x squared plus 2. And then I'm going to find this, which is plugging 1. So 3 times 1 squared plus 2. That's equal to 5. Then guess what? Because this, therefore, f inverse of prime of 2 is equal to 1/5. It's reciprocal of that. This is reciprocal. Is that cool? I never find out the inverse function is. Honestly, don't care. F inverse of prime at 2 is equal to 1/5. Because we know f prime at 1 is 5. Got it? Yes. Common sense. Guess and check. Think about it. This one has to be 1 in order to make it 3. And sometimes this is the first thing to think about when you're doing stuff. Always thinking, not trying to solving. You're not solving for anything. Think of something that can make this true. The only time that's going to be true is 1. And there's no math way to solve it. Sorry. No math way to solve it. No math way to solve it. Either way. There's actually a cubic equation. It's like quadratic formula can solve this one, but it's too much work. It's called cubic equation, I think. Cubic formula instead of quadratic formula. Yeah, there's a way to do it, but pain in the butt. Nobody know about it. Okay, so here's my question. Can you find the derivative of this? And can you find f inverse of f inverse prime of 12? Camille's already done. Okay. Slade's done. Slade, that's a very creepy. Wait, how does that work?
Oh, really? Well, that's
No.
fine.
Oh, sorry.
This one.
Elena, you got it? Cairo? Austin? Vincent?
Yeah, I think so. I think everything.
Yazil? Madeline? Nice, Slade got it. Elena, Vincent. Vincent, not yet, right? Got it. Okay.
I have
Austin?
it. I literally have it.
Yes. Yazil? Yazil, Madeline, not yet. Cairo? Yes?
I was making sure because
No?
I don't know
Okay.
what 2 to the third is.
What happened?
Huh? I think it's just name Austin. No, I had to do 2 to the third. I know. What is 3 Q? 8, I wrote it down. Yeah.
What'd you guys get? 1/14? Madeline, can you help out? No, Elena, can you help out Madeline? Madeline got it?
When X, if you want to
Oh.
X,
You did it? No. You did?
so now you
Nah, I didn't do all of this. The bomb and
I didn't know.
Yasil?
He did this.
Cairo?
You guys should add the little like circles. Yeah, just the little sponge circles. Yeah. For real. Couple. That is very good. Yeah, I don't think I've ever used a full eraser in my life. I just like fold it and I break it and I just keep on folding.
Okay, so that was the one question that will be on tomorrow's test that you haven't learned before. It's pretty easy, right? But you'll be surprised because on the test, a lot of people does forget. So don't forget how to do it. Now, this question is actually on the competitions. It's actually on every single competition. It's actually on most of the AP exam. Most, because usually people get, this is like one of the last non-multiple choice question, and usually people don't remember how to do it on the test day. You have to know how to do it on the test day. You have to know it because there could be an easiest question or hardest question of the test. So they were really bipolar. Okay, this is really bipolar because a lot of people that just forgot how to do this on the test day. I'm gonna give you somewhat challenge questions. So I'll give you this question. Says f of x. I just found it online earlier. So 7x squared plus natural log of x squared.
It's okay.
Right, and then they say find an f inverse a prime at 7. Very, very cool questions. But please make sure you're 90% of the test you understand, which is from your revision. If you don't understand this, no problem. Tomorrow you still can score 90 on it.
Color
Yeah.
one. Wait, what's color in the two? What?
That's a good question. Don't laugh at him. You didn't know. The other two is not 0. The other one is 0. Because they just being a curious
No, I
George.
just make sure, yeah.
It's okay. I think that's a legitimate question. It's nothing. Don't make fun of him.
Yeah,
Just call me.
It's caught you off guard. Well, maybe you should think what he's thinking. Hey. Hello?
Wait, what did we do first?
Thank you for your purchase with us. Our order is successfully placed and ready.
Very creepy. What do you guys get? Same thing? 1 over 14? 1 over 14? Same answer? That's crazy. I did? For real? Okay, let's take a derivative of this.
I'm so low.
It's 1 over 16. Wait.
Oh, you said did derivative, right?
Yeah, so 1 over 14 times 1 plus 2 ln of x. Well, ln of 1 is 0, so that's just going to go to 0 over 1. So that's going to be 0. So 1 over 14. Yeah, that's right.
Wait, what? Wait, where does the 1 come from?
So x has to be equal to 1 regardless what happened. So even though the derivative is kind of weird, how much time we have? Okay, I'll show you the question. Okay, number 3. Good questions.
G is the inverse of x.
G is the inverse of x, so g prime of 1, so we can find out what 3 is. Actually, there is a formula sheet. I will give it to you. This is not formula sheet. Oh, you have to know all your trig integrals, so I won't give you a formula sheet. No, I lied. F inverse prime of x is equal to 1 over f prime of f inverse of x. So that is the thinking about. That's the equation for inverse derivative.
Number 3. The first step.
Did you guys get 3? Hurry up. So slow.
What? Find the derivative.
Oh, this is an interesting question.
Do 1. Still.
There's chain rule. Wait, does it matter? I got 1 over even number, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's.
That's a cool question.
Yeah. Because. So it's. Yeah. Let's go. What is it? Oh, hold up, bro. I'm doing it, bro. 8. 1, 2. So it's 1 over 8. Because you put it to G prime. Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's cancel G max is going to sign 0. Boom. Boom. Yeah. Boom. Boom. That's right. Oh.
1 over 8, buddy.
Yeah.
Very good job. It's not hard, right? But on the test day, you're probably gonna forget, so don't forget.
I will.
But that's a harder one because actual question they actually give you says g of 1 is equal to 0. I don't want to give you that because you should figure out that's true. So this will be like your homework practice if you want to do it, but yeah. Yeah, well, this is gonna be a homework practice. You can probably solve all this in like 5 minutes. Or less than 5.
Are you gonna post this?
What?
Are you gonna post this? Or
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I can send you a file. I can airdrop to you. You can you post a group chat? Austin. iPhone Pro. Flory. I don't know who's Flory. Leonardo. Vincent. Vincent's gone. He's racist. Doesn't like Chinese people. Who's Flory? Flory declined me. Vincent is not accepting me.
I did accept. I just getting a lot of notifications.
they don't want.
It's like they told me to update my iCloud storage.
So I went to a Chinese store to fix my camera, and now they say it's the they don't recognize the camera. Yeah, but I still can take a picture. I mean, doesn't care. No, it don't pop up. It's pop up in the setting. That's it. It just got a red notification. We don't recognize this camera. I really don't care because they want me to pay whole phone anyway. So I was like, forget that. Forget about my warranty. Why you decline me? Yeah, I didn't show up. My phone, my iPad's racist. Elena, got you. My phone is racist. Elena, make sure you go through the whole review. Go through the whole review.
Why don't you?
Everybody, but I want mine. Huh? You think I'm depressed? Yeah, she's really depressed.
No.
Oh, Vincent? Vincent, let me show me your face. Vincent, you depressed?
I used to have to do that a long time ago. I know how to. Sometimes they behave in other people's classrooms. They really behave like just don't behave in your own teachers. They have no idea. You can't hang out after the seventh period. I think I know what you did too. I have no idea. Work out now.
Oh.
I saw what you put on the board.
What did I put on the board?
I forgot what you said. The friends we made along the way. Go with the first one.
I didn't put it on the board.
We did this in
Someone else put it on the board. It was Sarah. She's the one who put it on.
And you push it. Every all of us are you're gonna do. Watch this.
No. You know what I think that is? I think that's the teacher that I put in the room. I think that would like. Let me see this. Let me see this. Yeah, no, I don't recognize because I folded up the ones over there. I don't recognize folding up this one. But I think
haven't got my shirt put on. There's so much in there.
I think it's in that one.
Yeah, I think it's like.
What is I'll deal with this later. Teacher. I'm trying to figure out if it's this one because we just found this like all the desks. We're thinking that someone may have been.
First I did here, but then I forget in here. I purposely waited for so long. So I knew you would like start. Yeah. No, okay. Who's a bigger nerd? Me or Charlie? Every single person.
I was there when the argument. I don't want to
What happened? When is it, Charlie?
Yes, you're right.
Wait, do you want me to? No.
All right, we have to factor in a couple